Many of the highlights of working for the Children's World Peace Organization with our colleague Tom Schneider happened after we worked at the Children's World Peace Organization, when he led the effort to put up the peace pole in Parque Juarez and to bring world peace leaders here to, let peace prevail in our time. Today, he's done it again, and you're going to hear about that in a little while. But right now, I'd like to think about what peace is worth to you. The concept is not new to Rotary. We've been in the peace business for a long time. The United Nations, we've been in league with. They say that sustainable development isn't possible without peace, and peace isn't possible without sustainable development. And here we are doing sustainable development in the Campo with our women specifically, with our toilets and our cisterns, etc., empowerment programs. So I want you to feel really proud of the work you're doing, because the United Nations says it can't happen. Peace can't happen without women. So we're doing a lot with women, and thank you for it. So we're very much in the peace business, and that's the humanitarian development business. And as I pass the basket today, I want you to please put your pesos where your pride is for peace. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robin. All right, while Robin's passing the hat, I'd like to get Greg to come up, as well as Ted. Hey, Greg, can you come on up? Ted and Ron. She hit on peace, and we have a peace pole project that's going to be going on, a peace pole event that's going to be going on this Thursday, and these three gentlemen are going to talk a little bit about it. I'll probably have Greg go on first. Yes?
Thank you. Gregorio Estevane here, new member. So on September 21st, Thursday, 12 noon, Parque Juarez, the peace pole that Tom Schneider had so much to do with many other members in this club and other clubs.
It's closer.
So I would ask you to all attend, invite 5 people, please wear white. The current status of the speakers is going to be as follows. We have invited the mayor's representative, Mr. Medellin, who is the deputy mayor. He'll be speaking. He's also the former governor of 4140, so it kind of a little Rotary connection as well. We've invited and she will be attending the U.S. consulate here in San Miguel. We'll have the pleasure of having the Rotary governor speaking. We will have a Rotary member from the Mexican Rotary speaking about the children's letters, passing the letters around. And in addition to that, we've invited some corporate sponsors, Bahiago, Scotiabank, Chevrolet. Put a new little twist on it, get some moneyed people in here and start driving down that road, right? There's no reason this can't be 1,000 people in a festival by next year. We hope to have a good turnout. Thanks.
Well, good morning. I noticed that one of the surveys that we did, that people wanted to do something rather than just work, let's do some social time and have some fun. So I'm proposing and offering at my house, after the peace pole thing, we'll have a peace pole pizza party. And I need a show of hands to see how many slices Ray and I are going to have to figure out how to come up with. So
I've got 2 hands up. I'm looking around, yeah.
Okay.
You can count Ron in twice.
Okay. And then I don't know how many we'll have from the other speakers who'll be there, but good. Thank you so much. Oh, and by the way, my house is right across the east side of the park. If you know where the Sierra Nevada Hotel is, the service interest, my gate is right there. Cañadita de los Aguacates, number 4.
We'll put that in the chat. We'll put it in the chat.
You have just received, about 2 seconds ago, an email that is intended for you to forward to your friends. It's an invitation to join us at the Peace Pole on Thursday. Greg's team has done a great job preparing for this. We want a good turnout. We want our club to have more than the other 2 clubs, right? We want a good representation, and it's really going to be a nice event. I mean, last year we had, how many? We had 30 or 40 people at the Peace Pole, and it was really a nice event. So you're going to be, or you have received that already in your email box. And then when I get home, you're also going to get in the WhatsApp chat a link to the Facebook event. So I ask you, please click on that and minimally like it, so we get lots of likes on the Facebook event. And if you could share that with your friends, that would be great. We want a good turnout. So look in your email and look on WhatsApp for things to share with your friends. That's it.
Thank you, guys. And a note too, Greg said, wear white, okay? Showing peace, all right? So wear white. That's not why I wore it today, but I'm figuring I could be a model right here, right now. Okay, I'd like to have Jose come up and talk about the Girls Empowerment Program, which will be starting back up here on the 25th. He has an announcement, a couple of updates, and also the needs. So, Jose, welcome back.
Hola.
Vacationing, Jose.
Work. Good morning, everyone. So we are going to start again the next group of schools for the Girls Empowerment Program. So it's going to be September till December. It's going to be around 25 till 27 schools this time. And we are going to teach around more than 800 girls. So in the next phase of group, so the next group of schools is going to be rural schools, is going to be urban schools, is going to be private schools. It will be like a little bit of everything, because what we saw last time that we had a summer workshop is like the girls in the urban area are quite different than the girls in the rural area. So now we're going to figure out how is it in the private school and urban, and it's going to be a little bit of everything. So actually tomorrow we will have a presentation with the directors and the maestros, and we're going to be busy with the maestras, and it's going to be just the beginning for this next phase. So we will need drivers. We're going to start the next Monday, 25th of September. So please, if you want to help us just driving to the campo, please contact directly to Andrea. Andrea's in charge of the drivers. And I would love that you can just be around this program, because it's amazing. It's everything for me and for the team. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Yes, great program. Currently, they need drivers for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'm still on, right? Yeah. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, those are the desperately needed days. So if you're available any one of those days, we're going to post that also in the WhatsApp chat. Get a hold of Andrea. All right. Thanks, Diego. Just give me a hands up or something. These guys are all like... Okay, I think that was all the announcements that I needed to make today, so I will try to give as much time to our speaker. What's up? There's always got to be one guy in the crowd that's got to remind you when you're doing something wrong, right? Thank you, Michael. The four-way test. Who was supposed to do the four-way test today? Skip, why didn't you say something? The four-way test is very, very important part of our club, and we almost missed it. Thank you, Michael. Skip, welcome. Do I get paddles for this or something?
Come on over here. All right. So the four-way test are the things that Rotarians say at every meeting, except almost not this one. You know, the four-way test was actually was created way back in 1932. Did you know that? There was a businessman out in, I believe, Los Angeles. He was CEO of a company, and his company had gone bankrupt because of the Depression. And he was the only one in the company that really believed he could save the company. And so he developed the four-way test, passed it all on to the directors in his company, and on to all of the employees, and by God, they saved the company by adopting these four tenets, all right, that are used as like a yardstick to measure the things that we say, think, and do. And so in 1943, Rotary adopted the four-way test, and it's been a part of what we do ever since. And so, will you repeat after me? Number one, is it the truth? Number two, is it fair to all concerned? Number three, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And number four, be beneficial to all concerned. And thank you. You may continue.
Thank you, Skip.
Okay, now we can, I'd like to invite Robin Loving up to introduce today's speaker.
All right, as you know, the International Day of Peace is Thursday, the 21st, and we're going to celebrate that at the Peace Pole at noon. You know, our work is bringing peace and prosperity to the campo. Our presenter today knows a lot about what we're doing and a lot about peace in the world. She is Barbara Mueller, and she is the Rotary World Peace Director, and she thinks that Rotary could be the tipping point for peace in the world. Today, she's going to share tools that we can all use for peacemaking, this intangible thing. And she is a peacemaker, a visionary, and a consultant to world leaders. Her weekly Power of Peace podcast, say that 3 times, with world peacemakers is available to each of us on YouTube. She created the Rotary E-Club of World Peace and chairs the Peace Builder Club. When she spoke at the 70th anniversary of the United Nations, she was honored with the Spirit of the United Nations Award. I present you Barbara Mueller, who has a call to action for us in our individual and collective lives to help bring peace to the world, one of our 6 areas of Rotary focus. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you all. It is such an honor to be here. You know, I was talking to Tom last night, and he said, you better go check out our website, because on our website, it shows the kind of work we're doing. And I know you're going to be proud of us. I am beyond proud. When I went to your website and I saw service above self, what you are doing, especially girls empowerment program, Shekhar Mehta probably is more proud of you than many of the other Rotary clubs, where he said, let's empower women. Let's empower young women. Let's make sure that they're comfortable 31 days every month. And with that, he began this program, which you have put into your schools. That is a miracle. It has to be in the schools, because they don't have extra time. So many of our families today are just barely scraping by. So we have to teach them what we know they need. Empower these young women to really believe that what they do counts, and they can do it 31 days a month, except in February, and you know that. And as you mentioned earlier, the International Day of Peace is almost here. This always kind of brings a tear to my eye, because my late husband, who died in 2010, was the Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations. He and Avon Madison, Pathways to Peace, created the International Day of Peace. And I remember Ambassador Chaudhry saying, I helped them create that International Day of Peace. And I was hoping, and I'm continuing to hope, that the culture of peace will take place in every single state, every single nation. The culture of peace is what we all believe in as Rotarians. And as I look at you, and I heard you all today, and I really appreciated Robin, because she called me earlier and asked me a little bit about myself. And she did such a good job of explaining that peace is possible, which is the motto of the Rotary Action Group for Peace. The Rotary Action Group for Peace is the vehicle that any Rotarian in any of the 44,000 Rotary clubs can join for $20 a year, not a month, but $20 a year, RAGFP.org. Get there and join. I want thousands of members to belong to the Rotary Action Group for Peace. And you have taken that action for peace. Your website is loaded with good work, and it is the truth. I love touting the work of our Rotarians. I was thinking recently about a Secretary General who my husband served, Outant. Outant said to my husband when he became his assistant, Robert, you know, I really would like to have peace education. Peace education. What a concept, right? Because we're not going to have peace unless we have the education that paves the way. So when Robert was on the 37th floor listening to a General Assembly meeting at the United Nations, Rodrigo Carazo came in, the president of Costa Rica. The president of Costa Rica said, I will help you create a university for peace. I will give you the land, and you just have to come and create the university for peace. My late husband said, that's exactly what Outant wanted, and that's what we're going to do. So he got in the donkey cart. They didn't even have a road to the land, the hundreds of hectares that they gave him at the United Nations so they could have a campus, a university for peace. Now, why am I going to tell you this story? Because my husband and Secretary General Outant had a dream that they would have a university for peace. Why do I tell you this? Because you have a peace pole. That peace pole is some of the only way that a lot of people ever see the word peace in their life. They don't even think it's possible. Well, I have something I want you to do for me. My husband and I in Costa Rica, and I'll tell you the rest of that story in a moment, have a bench. It's called the Bench of Dreams. It's a 30-foot long wooden bench. And every time the elder hostels or visitors come, we have them sit on the bench and dream their dreams for peace. So here's what I'd like you to do. At some point, beneath your or close to your Power of Peace pole, I'd like you to put a bench that people can sit on and have a dream for peace so that they can feel that power of peace. But it begins with your dreams. So Outant, what was his dream? He wanted a university for peace. And so Rodrigo Carazo, not knowing that, but the universe probably gave him a hint that a university for peace would be the right way to go, comes to the General Assembly and says, I will give you the land and you can come and have your university for peace. Well, that was the most exciting thing Robert could hear. But then he came back and he said, well, we might as well forget it. It's just a cow pasture. There's not even a road. I had to go on a donkey cart to get there. How are we going to have a university when you can't get to it? All right, remember, dreams come true. The universe supports you. So what do you think happened? Sasakawa comes to the United Nations. Sasakawa was a war criminal, not because he was a war criminal, but because he was Japanese. And you know, they put all the Japanese into a concentration camp, for want of a better word. And he said, I swore in that concentration camp, when I got out, I was going to work for peace. I was going to make money for peace. I want peace on the planet. I don't want anybody to go through what I went through. And what is this I hear, Dr. Mueller, about a university for peace? And Robert says, oh, forget it. It's just a cow pasture. We don't have any money. The United Nations can't afford to build it. So what are we going to do? What do you think happens next? Sasakawa says, he tells his story and he writes a check and hands it to my husband on the 37th floor of the United Nations. That check, and this is, we're talking early 1980s, in that era, he says to him, here's a check. I want you to build that University of Peace. It was for $1 million. He had made that kind of money after being incarcerated for all those years. Robert was so excited. He got on the phone, took an airplane trip, and met Rodrigo Carasso at the airport and handed him the $1 million check. The University for Peace began. Remember, the dreams come true. Now, they had no road to get to the University for Peace. So guess what happens? Oscar Arias wins the Nobel Peace Prize for his work of demilitarizing Costa Rica, demilitarizing other countries. And he builds a road with his money that he won from the Nobel Peace Prize. You hear how the universe supports you? That's why I tell you this story about Rotary. All of the things in Rotary that you and I have been responsible for, that you and I can continue to work for. We are the dreams of the people in our communities. We are the service above self. We are the ones that need to hear from you. And the peace poll has to be put on the front page of your newspapers, put on any place, make little stickers that say, we have a peace poll, put it on all your letters. Let people know that you believe peace is possible. That's our motto for the Rotary Action Group for Peace. Peace is possible, and it begins with Rotary. Well, I married Robert. He came to I didn't know him until about 1994 when he came to a World Leaders Conference that I held in Santa Barbara, California, where I live today. Thank you, Zoom, because I speak all over the world. Thank you, Zoom, because I don't have to leave my comfortable home. I don't have to leave my desk. I can run in the backyard and plant my vegetables instead of getting in the car and driving to the airport and taking a plane to talk to you. I don't have to do that anymore. Thank you, Zoom. So I married Robert. We're married for 17 years. During those 17 years, we drove, we flew. This is prior to COVID, because remember, my husband died in 2010, and he was given the Gaughen Peace Prize. So we were in Japan, and we went to the Rotary clubs in Japan and spoke. We were in Hungary for the Club of Budapest and spoke to Rotary clubs. This one's really interesting because my grandfather was Hungarian, great-grandfather. And when he came to the United States to avoid World War I, because he wasn't going to allow war to be part of his DNA, 17 years old, $5 in his pocket, gets on the boat, goes to Ellis Island. He meets my grandmother on that boat trip. They get married. And I'm a descendant of these early Hungarians who avoided World War I. Fast forward to when I'm 3. And Grandpa says to me, you know, Barbara, you're going to be a peacemaker someday because peace is the only way. What are you telling your grandchildren today? What are you telling your students? What are you telling your friends? Are you saying that peace is possible? Are you sharing your love for peace? Especially with your grandchildren and your children. I tell my grandchildren, you're going to be a peacemaker someday. And so anyway, I said to Grandpa, because I heard I was 3 years old, and I said, Grandpa, I don't even know what that means. He said, you'll find out. And here I am, 70 years later, still working for peace. Why? Because I know it's possible. People say you don't look your age, and I say, well, that's because I work for peace. I don't have time to think about years. I only have time to think about results and service above self and action. And so with that, my life has been so amazing. When they invented and created the International Day of Peace to stop all war fighting, to stop all torture for one day a year. Think about that. Only one day a year we're celebrating peace. Shouldn't we be celebrating peace every day? Why do you think I'm working so hard for the Rotary Action Group for Peace and making speeches when anybody asks me, like Tom? Wonderful Tom said, Barbara, do you have time to make this talk? Our Rotary Club could use some inspiration for peace as the International Day of Peace is around the corner. And I said, absolutely. I would be more than happy to do that. And as your wonderful Robin said, I do Peace Podcast, peacepodcast.org. go to peacepodcast.org with 120 peacemakers. I didn't get Shekar, though. I'm going to get him one of these days because I really love Shekar. He was 2 years ago was our president, and he's still hoping that someday we'll get the Nobel Peace Prize for ending polio. And I hope that we can also bring peace as the next priority for Rotary. And so I'm working on Ending War 101, a simple course put on by the Rotary Action Group for Peace. And the Rotary believes that they have to be in partnership. So we're working with the organization World Beyond War. This is my husband's dream. His dream was that all wars would end and that the people who were war fighters could become peacemakers and work on the environment. In fact, I'm reading a new book called Climate Restoration. If you want to read a book that will shock your pants off, read Climate Restoration. You know why? Because we're always saying climate disaster. No, don't put that word out there. The climate doesn't want to be called a disaster. We are in climate restoration. And if you read the book, you're going to find out how we can do it with iron fertilization of the kelp in the ocean. Peter Fikowski's on peacepodcast.org. He's the author of Climate Restoration. Tom, I want you to know that when I talk to your group, I feel like I'm talking to my brothers and sisters, my family. That's what I got. We traveled around the world and I went to Rotary clubs, and I was able in those Rotary clubs with my husband to talk about peace. And then when I was in Hungary, and I wanted to share that with you again, my great grandfather, King Báthory, my grandmother left her royal path to come to the United States to be in peace. Think about that. And his King Báthory saved Poland from the tortures of war. And so I have this in my DNA. What's your history? The first question I ask on Peace Podcast is, how has your life's history prepared you for peace? Ask yourself that. Notice some of you coming in today, and I thought, how their life history prepared them for peace in Rotary? And I just can't believe how many of you could be my featured speakers. I just finished my interview with Joyce Wyckoff. Joyce Wyckoff is the author of Gratitude Mojo. What does mojo mean? It means enthusiasm, expertise, but really it's coming alive. And I have found something that works for me. Remember, I was told today that I would be able to speak about some actions you can take. Number one, join the Rotary Action Group for Peace for $20 a year. Tell everybody you know that peace is possible and celebrate it on the 21st of September and every day of your life. Work peace as you are and share the world peace that you have. And if you're having trouble with conversations because somebody doesn't agree with you, buy my book, Revolutionary Conversations, the tools you need for the success you want. Why? Because a lot of people get offended by somebody's opinion. Thanksgiving party is going to hell in a basket because two parents and two different grandchildren disagreed about something. But if you learn these simple tools, stop. Don't go ahead until you're safe. Stop. What you do at a stop sign, you don't just rush on through and pray nobody hits you. Stop, help, ask, risk, and explore. 5 little things that you can do to have a conversation that works. And I know I do workshops on revolutionary conversations, the tools you need for the success you want. And the hardest one is to stop. It's hard to stop when somebody's telling you what you don't want to hear, and it's something that you need to explore. That's the last thing you do, not the first. Stop. I need a little help. Can I ask you a question? Stop, help, ask the question, and listen to the result. And then risk. I'm going to take a risk. You know, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for letting me ask you the question. And I want to thank you for you sharing your opinion. May I take a risk and tell you how I feel? This is how Braver Angels are doing. Do you know about Braver Angels? I'm doing a workshop with Braver Angels on Friday, this coming Friday. Returning Peace Corps volunteers, Braver Angels, secretaries, mayors. We're putting on a conference, Rotary and Braver Angels and Returning Peace Corps volunteers. I will tell your website designer to the Peace Zoom link for Friday if you're interested. But the most important part is that we each have the potential to bring peace wherever we are. Let me give you an example. I go to Trader Joe's. I love Trader Joe's because I can find friendly, happy people and I can get my shopping done real quick. But there's a homeless man that sits outside in front of Trader Joe's and he plays his guitar. And he always plays the song I ask for him to play, like John Denver's Peace song. You want to be peaceful? Go on Google and put in John Denver and the word peace. And John Denver says, I had a dream, a strangest dream last night, that peace is here. War is no more. And he sings this song. And I always have this homeless man sing the song, Peace. So for years, I've been talking to him. And yesterday when I went to Trader Joe's, I said, how are you doing? He said, I have a home. I said, well, let's celebrate. You want me to go in and buy you some fruit? Because I don't want to buy him a bottle of wine. I want to buy him some fruit. Would you do that? I said, absolutely. I said, how did you get home? He said, well, I have some friends and they gave me a bedroom to live in. You know, I've lived in my car. And I said, yeah, I know. I've been trying to get you a home, but I haven't had the luck that you have. Celebrate it and tell your friends that because you're here singing about peace, your dream came true. Your dream to have a home, a bed. And he said, you should have seen the mess I moved into. These people don't know how to clean. They didn't even clean out their refrigerator. I said, you see, what goes around comes around. Not only do you have a home, but you're helping them live in peace and harmony with their environment. God bless you. So it doesn't matter who you see, and it doesn't matter where you are. Peace is possible, and it begins with you, and it begins with me. And I hope you'll do something for me. Go to peacepodcast.org and listen to Peter Fikowski in climate restoration, or listen to a Braver Angel, the mayor in New Hampshire. She's a Braver Angel. Her podcast is up there. And then I had Joyce Wyckoff. She's coming up today. Joyce Wyckoff wrote The Gratitude Mojo because she has a philosophy that if everybody was in gratitude, we wouldn't have war anymore. If Putin, whatever his name is, in Russia said, I'm so grateful for this property, this piece of land that I own, he wouldn't be shooting everybody. If the Ukrainians said, I'm so peaceful, the Ukrainians didn't even believe it was possible. I wasn't there, but I was on a Zoom call at the United Nations. When they announced the war, nobody could believe it. Wars are outdated. Why are we spending so much money on war? This will shock you again. Do you know that if you go to one of the websites that tell you how much money we are spending on war and how much the United States is in debt because of the war in Ukraine, when we could be spending that money on health care and food for children who are dying of that malnourishment, on mothers who are praying that they have a home, we could prevent our poverty and pain with the money that we spend on the war. 1/10 of the budget that is spent in the United States could feed the world. That's pretty amazing statistics. But the one that shocked me was something that I read last night. Every person in the United States today has $500,000 of debt thanks to the wars that we are working with. And thanks to the 600 military zones we have around the world. So I'm not a peacemaker quietly. I'm a peacemaker with facts. I get my facts I get my information. And thank you, Google, and thank you, Zoom, and thank you, Rotary, for reaching out into every country, for reaching out into your local communities. I'm also an International City of Peace, thanks to Fred Arment. It's a simple process to become an International City of Peace. We're number 323, so join me there. There's so much you can do if you wake up to the possibility. Use your peace pole, put a bench out there, and dream your dreams, because dreams and gratitude are what I believe will change our world. So with that, I thank you for listening. I bless you. And Rotary is the way that we all can work together, because it's the truth and it's beneficial to all. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Does anyone have any
My pleasure.
questions? Ron's got the microphone? Ron's got the microphone. If anyone has any questions, and then go ahead. And if anybody on Zoom has questions, they can type it in, and we'll do the best to answer those on as well. Anybody?
You
Do we have
know,
any-
I was so pleased to hear. May I just say one more thing? Can't hear.
Thank you. Does anybody on Zoom, did anybody type in any questions?
No, but I want to ask you,
Okay.
on your website, put this recording. Well, let me see, somebody's talking.
Hello, Barbara? Barbara?
I didn't hear. Yes, I
Barbara,
did.
we record all of our presentations, and they will be up. It takes me about 4 or 5 days to edit the video and get it up on our website. But you'll be there by
That's
the end of the
fabulous.
week.
Thank you, because this week today I prepared, and I don't want to give the same, and I'd love to have people go to your website. So, Tom, would you keep me posted on that, please? And Robin, I would be delighted. Thank you, thank you. And this is important, because then you can have people who are new to Rotary go to the website and listen to why we should be a Rotarian, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you.
And we
You were
have
a
one
great audience.
we have one question from the audience.
Hi there. Thank you for all the wonderful work you're doing. I'm wondering, from a practical little foot soldiers in the field perspective, what can we do in small, actionable, daily, our daily lives to further peace? Like you're taking on the large meta. There are certainly problems of peace here in Mexico, and they seem out of reach, and probably because we see the big problem, not the little things that will lead to a solution. So I was hoping you could enlighten us on how to start to tackle this. Thank you.
That's such a good question, because it is the daily things that we can do that allow us to show the community there is peace. I'll give you a couple examples that I'm proud of. We have a peace garden in these neighborhoods that I live in, and it's a place where you can go and pick a bean if you want to, or if you have too much fruit in your tree, you call it the peace basket. Put the fruit out and by your front yard. The other thing too is we plant sunflowers, and we put a little sign: this sunflower is meant for peace. Peace be with you. You know, just have a peace something, a peace bench, a bench where you put the word peace on and you think about peace. The most important part is just to have your peace hole, have a bench where people can sit and dream their dreams.
And we have one more question here, Barbara.
Thank you.
Barbara, this is going to be a little bit off the wall here for you. My name is Don Zellett, and I'm from Santa Barbara.
Hello.
Hi. And I do not know if you remember me or not, but I was your husband's hospice volunteer. I don't know if you remember me, but here I am. And I remember you well. I remember your garden, I remember your house on Evergreen, and it's so nice to see you.
And I thank you. Not only do I remember you, but I thank you. My husband had Alzheimer's at the end, and I made the decision that if he had spent his life working for peace, I, as his wife, could bring peace to him in his last days. And then I wrote the article called The Caregiver's Corner. And I am so grateful to all the hospice workers that helped me and all of the nurses. But the one thing that I taught everybody who's ever going through this, and a lot of us will, is to smile. Because when a person has Alzheimer's, the most important thing you can do is not make them feel bad, because they already feel terrible. They don't know what's happening. But if you smile, no matter if they spilled the milk on the floor, oh my goodness, look, we have milk on the floor. And then you wipe it up with a smile. Or they fall out of bed. My husband was always falling out of bed. And I said, well, dear, quit falling out of bed, but because you're on the floor, let's have a picnic. And I'd bring in breakfast, and we'd have breakfast on the floor. Go with the flow. I did this for 3 years. That's why I can be so happy now, because my husband is now where he needs to be, and I have the freedom to practice the peace that I've always talked about. Even if you're a caregiver, it's the peace that you bring to that moment. Thank you for the question, and thank you again, my dear hospice friend.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Barbara. This was a wonderful meeting. Thank you very much for sharing. Those questions were great, and we're